If you're focusing on onboarding, momentum, activities, accountability, transitions, and communication clarity as separate fixes, then you're missing the big picture. These are interconnected parts of an engagement ecosystem that should be part of your course. And it either works together or it falls apart together. I'm Dr. Catrina Mitchum, and I've been designing and redesigning courses online since 2009. So, what the hell is an engagement ecosystem? It's where each element supports and amplifies the other one. And that's why it's important to work on them together, because otherwise, changing one can throw the other one off, right? So, your clear onboarding sets expectations that your accountability system reinforces, right? Strong activities create momentum that carries your learner through transitions. Clear communication reduces confusion that could derail accountability. Each piece feeds into the next, creating this self-sustaining cycle, right? And so how do these pieces connect? We've got a foundational layer, and that is our clear communication and instructions. These support everything else. If clients can't understand what to do, then nothing else is going to work. I did a breakdown on both of these things. So if you missed it, check out my course on shitty instructions and also my course on the course content trap. Okay, after we have the foundation layer, we also have the engagement layer, right? And this is where you want to make sure they have a strong start. You want to make sure that you take the momentum that they have at the beginning and you help them keep that momentum going and engaged, and you have well-designed activities. This gets your clients moving and it keeps them moving through meaningful action and design. And so the reason why this builds on the foundational layer of communication is that if things are clear, you can then focus on moving forward. And we want courses, right, where folks are taking action, they're moving forward, they're getting the change they came for. For a deeper dive about getting past the first 48 hours, I've got a video for that. I've got a video about keeping that momentum past the first week, right? Because we all buy courses, we get super excited, we open them, we do something, and then we close them and never open them again, right? So that's a critical point. So check out that video. And then I've got one on creating course activities that aren't boring, right? Because creating boring activities means they're not going to keep moving through your course either. Okay, so after we have the foundational layer, we have the engagement layer, then we need to talk about the support layer, right? And so this is where the accountability and the smooth transitions come in. It's about catching clients when they stumble, when they get stuck, and helping guide them forward through the activities, through the material, to the goal that they're trying to get to. So I have a video on course accountability, right? Because it's a delicate balance. You don't want to stalk them, but you want to hold them accountable. And I also have a video on making sure that it's clear what the next step is, right? And these are two things that are going to help support accountability and smooth transitions between steps so that they can actually finish that learning journey that you have created for them. Okay, so those are all of the layers, right, of this onion. Some integration mistakes that folks make are one, fixing one piece and ignoring the others. That's how I started this video, because you can't fix one without fixing the others. So if you have fantastic activities, but your transitions are terrible, students are going to love the work. They're going to feel momentum. They're going to do it, but then they're going to get lost between the modules. They're going to get lost between the steps because they can't see how things are connected. Another integration mistake is over-engineering one area while neglecting the basics. So you might spend a whole lot of time building this elaborate accountability system where you've got gamification and buddy matching, but the instructions are confusing, so they can't even do the basics in order to be held accountable for them, right? Another integration mistake is creating conflicting messages, right? So conflicting messaging is not just a marketing problem, but it is connected to marketing. So if your marketing promises quick wins and your onboarding sets long-term expectations, but your activities are all theoretical with no immediate payoff, there are no quick wins, then students don't know what to expect, right? There's a disconnect between what they thought they were getting and what their actual experience is. Another integration mistake that often gets made is that there's great content sequencing, but no bridge building. And that means that each lesson flows logically into the next, which is great, but you don't actually connect them. So the modules then get treated as standalone instead of building blocks, right? You need to be explicit with how things are connected to each other. Another integration mistake is kind of treating symptoms instead of treating the root cause. So this might look like adding more accountability emails when the real problem is that the activities that you've created aren't actually connected to your client's goals. So they're not actually motivated to do them anyway. Accountability doesn't really matter in that case. So how do you build your ecosystem? This involves auditing all of the pieces together, not just separately. Now, auditing all of these pieces can feel really overwhelming. I do offer course audits. So if you think that that might be something you want, go ahead and schedule a free 15-minute consult. The link's in the description. Look for places where clients are engaging with the activities, but then stopping at the end of the module, or doing the onboarding, but then never logging back in. Start with communication clarity as your foundation. So check your instructions, check your explanations, check your expectations. Make sure that they're clearly stated. If the client doesn't understand or can't do something, the best accountability system in the world isn't going to matter. Layer in engagement elements systematically, so everything should be done on purpose. You do need to choose priorities. While you want to audit everything together, so you want to look at everything together, you do not fix it all at once. You will burn out. Start with the heavy hitters, the things that are going to have the biggest impact. Those are things like onboarding, and then work your way through the rest of the things that you found that need fixing, specifically looking for momentum builders. Then move on to activities and then accountability. Everything should build on itself. You also build the ecosystem by testing how changes in one area impact the others, right? Started this video with saying that all of these things impact each other, and so they all kind of need to be balanced. Even though it's okay to start small, you need to see what the impact of that small step is on everything else. This is going to take both asking and listening to what's being said and what's not being said. When you improve your activity instructions, does that affect how much support clients need? When you add accountability check-ins, does that change the pacing clients need to get through the course? Make one change at a time and observe the ripple effect before you pick something else to change. The last piece I'm going to cover in building this ecosystem is actually feedback. So you want to create a feedback loop. If clients consistently get stuck at a certain point, your next transition should address that. It's okay to tell them when they're going to potentially get stuck. People have a hard time with this step. That's completely okay to tell them. I just did it in my own guide. There's part of working with me that moves from creating tasks and steps to a sketchy outline, and it's not easy. And so I let them know and offered something to help support them a little bit extra in that spot. And this is a point where I'm going to ask, okay, so how did it go? Was this extra support the support that you needed? You want to design these things deliberately so that they are responsive to the feedback that you're getting. Okay, so let's say you've built your ecosystem. How do we keep it healthy, right? We want a healthy course because we want clients to be successful, because we want them to rave about us. You have to think about how you're going to monitor it. So here we're looking for more than just completion rates. We're looking for learning. Are they asking different types of questions? Are they engaging with optional content? Are they connecting concepts across lessons? If you can't see those things through your course design, then ask for them in your feedback. You're also going to look for signs that something is undermining the other elements, right? So looking for patterns. This might be in things like the activities get good completion, but the follow-through is low. This might be a transition problem. Or folks engage with the onboarding. You get them past week 1, but they drop off in week 2. That's a momentum issue. Or folks are completing things but still asking basic questions. And this is a clarity issue, right? So they might be checking the box, but they might not actually be learning the thing. You also want to consider the difference between something that's like a regular tune-up and something that's a major overhaul. So you could do quarterly reviews where you look at connections between the elements and look for patterns in there. Some minor things might be tweaking language, right? That's an easy fix. Adjusting the timing of the accountability. Like, we don't want to harass folks, right? A major one might be if you realize that this was designed for a different audience that you're serving, right? That's going to be a major overhaul point. And you want to make sure that you are evolving with your clients. So what you build should adapt and grow based on who is buying the course. This series covered a lot of bits and pieces. It might sound like a lot of work if you have 50 million things going on, but one of my favorite things to do is actually audit courses. I love the redesign piece of all of this. So if you have questions about how all of this applies to your specific course or what you should focus on first, grab a 15-minute consult and we will take a look at your biggest challenge and you'll leave with concrete next steps.